When we think about the greatest feats of power on Earth, we usually imagine something loud, right? A volcanic eruption, a crack of lightning. But what if the most powerful magic on the planet isn't an explosion at all? What if it's something that happens in slow motion, everywhere, all the time? Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to explore the quiet, constant miracle happening inside a single leaf. I just love this line from our source material. Never trust size over silence. It really makes you pause and think, doesn't it? It kind of suggests that the most profound forces aren't the loudest ones, but the ones we so often overlook. That the real power lies in the quiet, steady work of the natural world. So instead of thinking about photosynthesis as just some dry chapter in a science textbook, we're going to frame it as a form of poetry, a constant, gentle act of creation that turns light and air into life itself. It's a miracle unfolding right before our eyes, if we just know how to look. To really get this poetry, we're going to use one central metaphor that structures the whole thing. Roots whisper what branches shout. This idea perfectly contrasts the hidden foundational work with the visible explosive action. Let's start with that whisper. So, we're starting our journey underground, in the dark, silent world of a tree's root system. This is where that quiet conversation begins, the unseen foundation that makes everything else possible. Now, you might think roots just suck up water, but it is so much more complex than that. They're part of this massive underground community. Through what scientists call mycorrhizal networks, you can just think of it as a fungal internet. Trees can actually share resources with their neighbors. They can even send out chemical signals to warn them of danger. It's this constant, silent dialogue happening right beneath our feet. And right here, we see that core metaphor laid out perfectly. You've got the whisper on one side, the hidden foundational work of the roots gathering water, and on the other side, you have the shout, the visible action of the branches and leaves reaching for the sun to make food. So let's move from the whisper to the shout and see how this whole thing builds. Okay, so we travel up from the roots, and now we're in the canopy. This is where the shout happens. The leaves are where the magic truly unfolds. It's an ancient spell that turns the whispers from below into the very air we breathe. And this spell is, of course, photosynthesis. But let's use this much more poetic definition from our source. It's the process of turning sunbeams and air into life itself. I mean, what a magical, life-giving transformation. Every spell needs its ingredients, right? So think of each leaf as a tiny green kitchen. It takes the water that's whispered up from the roots, it pulls in the carbon dioxide we all breathe out, and it harnesses the pure energy of sunlight. But these ingredients can't do anything on their own.
So, we've got our ingredients, but every kitchen needs a cook, doesn't it? What's the element that actually combines all this stuff and makes the magic happen? What is the cook in this green kitchen?
Well, the answer is chlorophyll. This is the special molecule that acts as the sunlight catcher. It's housed inside these tiny engines called chloroplasts, and it's the master cook that grabs the sun's energy to power the entire process. And as you might guess, it's also responsible for a very, very familiar color. This leads to a really simple but pretty profound question. If chlorophyll is all about using sunlight, why on earth are leaves green? And here is the brilliant twist. Chlorophyll is a master at absorbing red and blue light, but it has no use for green light, so it reflects it. It just throws it away. The color we associate with all plant life is actually the one color the plant rejects, a total trickster move. All right, now that we have the ingredients and the cook, we can finally look at the recipe itself. The source material beautifully frames this chemical reaction as a poem written in 2 distinct stanzas. So let's look at the stanzas of this poem. It unfolds in 3 key steps. First, you've got the light stanza, where sunlight energy literally splits water molecules apart. This leads to the second step, the life exhale. Oxygen is released into the air, and get this, for the plant, this is just a waste product. And finally, in the food stanza, the plant uses what's left to create glucose, which is a simple sugar that becomes its energy and food. And that waste product, that exhale of oxygen, is where this whole story becomes our story. This is where we discover the profound, unbreakable connection between our life and the life of a tree. It's as simple and as powerful as that. The very gas that the plant throws away is the gas that gives us life. Every single breath you take is a gift from the green world. We are locked in this constant, life-sustaining exchange. And what's amazing is that this connection is literally written into our bodies. Think about the branching structure of our lungs. These tubes called bronchi, designed to take in air. Now, look at the branching roots and limbs of a tree. It's this incredible unseen resemblance, a visual echo. We really are two halves of the same circle. But the gift doesn't even stop there. The sugar a tree creates can be stored for centuries as wood. So when we burn wood for a fire, or even when we use fossil fuels, what are we really doing? We're releasing ancient sunlight, captured and banked by plants millions of years ago. So, we end with this question from the source material. After seeing the poetry, the magic, and this incredibly deep connection, the next time you see a tree, what are you going to hear? What do the silent whispers and the green shouts of the world say to you now?